Hello guys, welcome to this channel, and in today's video we'll be discussing chemical bonding. Chemical bonding. Now, what is chemical bonding? Chemical bonding is the attractive force between atoms when they combine, either to form molecules or to form compound. So when atoms combine to form molecule or compound, the force that bring them together and keeps them together is called chemical bonding. Now, why do atoms bond? Why do they bond? Atoms bond because they want to have completely filled outermost shell. They want to be like the noble element, which has the group 8 element. The noble element. Now, an example of a noble element would be helium. Helium atom number 2. Helium has just a shell. So this is an helium atom, this is the nucleus, and this is the only shell that it has. And as you know that in a neutral atom, the number of proton is the same as the number of electrons. So helium is atom number 2. It has 2 proton and then it has 2 electrons. So these are the 2 electrons outside. So this first shell, which is the K shell, can only accommodate a maximum of 2 electrons, and this is it. So helium atom is completely filled here. Now, atoms like hydrogen, atoms like lithium would want to have this completely filled outermost electron too. So they would want to be like helium. Another example of a noble a group 8 element is neon. Neon atom number 10. So neon has a shape that looks like this. This is the nucleus and this is the first shell, has 2 electrons. This is the second shell, has 8 electrons, is completely filled, as you can see, completely filled. So this atom of neon is completely filled. So everything is complete. This neon now doesn't necessarily need to go into reaction because it's completely filled. It doesn't want to go into reaction. And although in some circumstances neon can go into chemical reaction in some extreme conditions in the laboratory, but then naturally and normally neon doesn't go into reaction. Why? Because it's complete, it's okay, it's stable. But then other atoms are not like that. They want to be like these guys, and that's why they go into chemical bonding. Now, what are the different types of chemical bonding that we have? The different types of bond. Now, the different types of bond that we have, the number one we want to consider is ionic bonding. Ionic bonding. All right, what is ionic bonding? Ionic bonding is when an atom loses an electron and then give it to another atom. When an atom gives its valence electron to another atom. Exactly. So when an atom gives out its valence electron to another atom, that atom is practicing ionic bonding. Now, what do I mean? And this bonding usually occurs between metals and non-metals. So it is usually between metals and non-metals. So this bonding is usually between metals and non-metals. Now let's look at an example. When an atom gives out its valence electron. Now what do I mean by valence electron? Valence electron is the electrons at the outermost shell. That's what is called valence electron. When an atom gives out this electron, then that atom is practicing ionic bonding. And when an atom receives that electron, that atom is also practicing ionic bonding. Don't forget, I said that it usually occurs between metals and non-metal. Now let's look at an example. Let's look at example of sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is a compound, the table salt as we normally know it, but the kind of bond that brings sodium join with chlorine to form sodium chloride is ionic bonding, and here is how it happened. Now let's say this is an atom of sodium. So what's the atomic number of sodium? Sodium is 11, which means it has 11 proton and also it has 11 electron. So this is the nucleus of sodium. Now this is the nucleus and this is the first shell. This is the first shell, it only has two. This is the second shell for sodium. Then the second shell has 8. The maximum number of electrons that this second shell can occupy is 8 electrons. 8, 7, 8. All right, so now this is neon, as you can see, but sodium, the number of electrons in sodium is 11. So sodium then has one extra electron in this outermost shell. So this is another shell and this is the last electron. So you can see that this makes 11. This is the nucleus and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is a sodium atom now. Sodium atom, 11 electron. So this is sodium atom, and you know this outermost shell is quite very blank. It's only one electron that is there, and then sodium wants to give it out. Now sodium wants to engage in ionic bonding. Now there is chlorine somewhere around, and how many electrons does chlorine have? Chlorine has a total of 17 electrons. 17 electrons. So let's say this is the nucleus of the chlorine, and then the first shell, just two in this shell, and then you have the second shell to have 8. 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you have another shell here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you count it now, it makes a total of 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So this is chlorine atom with 17 electron. Now this is sodium atom, this is chlorine atom. You know that chlorine atom only needs one electron to make a completely filled valence shell here, which will make it 8, because this thing needs to be 8. This shell can contain a maximum of 8 electrons. Now what they will do to make sodium chloride possible is that sodium will give away its electron and chlorine will now accept the electron. Sodium will give away its electron, chlorine will accept it. So let's say sodium then transfers this electron and give it to chlorine atom. All right, so let me paint it red so that you understand. So sodium transfer this electron and gives it to chlorine. Now sodium will not look, would this shell will no longer be there for sodium again, because there is no electron again there. So the shell will disappear and sodium will only have this. Sodium will now look like neon, and then chlorine too. Chlorine will then have a completely filled shell here, because this one will now equal 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So chlorine is filled, sodium is filled. So this is what actually brings about sodium chloride. And the kind of bond in sodium chloride is ionic bond. Why? Because sodium gives out an electron and chlorine receives the electron. I believe you understand. Now let's look at another example. Let's look at the example of magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide. So magnesium oxide, magnesium oxide. This is magnesium oxide. How does this happen? How does this form? Now here is how it happened. Magnesium, how many electrons does a magnesium atom has? Magnesium, it has a total of 12 electrons, because the atomic number of magnesium is 12. So it has a total of 12 electrons. So we have an atom of magnesium here. Here is the nucleus, and then the first shell, 1 2, and then the second shell a total of 8, 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and then another one to make it 12, 8, then 1 2. So if you count the number of electrons now, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So this is a magnesium atom. Now let's go to oxygen. Now here is magnesium. It has 12 electrons, and here is oxygen. Here is the nucleus, and then the first shell, 1 2, the second shell, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Oxygen actually has 8 total number of electrons, which a total number of electron of 8. So 2 will be inside and 6 will be outside. So oxygen has a total number of 8 electron. Now 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So oxygen is here now. But then oxygen needs, this shell needs to occupy 8 electrons, and it only has 6. It needs 2 more. Now magnesium is here, so this is oxygen, a total of 6 electrons. So magnesium is here and it has 12 electron, but then this shell, you can see this shell is actually very much empty, and it needs to give her that 2 electrons so that it can have a completely filled shell in the inner shell here, so that this outer shell can disappear and this inner shell can be the outermost shell. So now let me paint this red and then show you the transfer. So these are the 2 outermost electrons in magnesium. Now what will happen is that magnesium will now give out these 2 electrons and give it to oxygen. So we'll give out this 1 electron here and give out this other electron here. All right, so if you count oxygen now, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 at this shell, and then if you count for magnesium, this shell would have disappeared and it will remain 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So now both of them are together, and this force that transfers electrons from magnesium to oxygen to bring about magnesium oxide is what is called ionic bonding force. This is the bond that actually brings them together. I believe you understand. So let's look at another example, which is calcium chloride. Calcium chloride. Why is this Cl2? Why is this just 1 calcium and 2 chlorine atom? Why is it like that? Let me show you. Now, as we all know it, that ionic bonding is between a metal and a non-metal. Now here is calcium. How many electrons does a calcium atom has? Calcium has a total of 20 electron. 20 electron. So here is an atom of calcium, the nucleus, shell number 1 2, shell number 2, it has 8. All right, so this is 2 10 18 and then 20. So this is calcium. This is calcium atom now. Calcium. And how many number of shells? You can see it has 1 2 3 4. 4 shells. Calcium has 4 shells. And then this is the electron distribution. Electron distribution in those shells. Here has 2 8 8 2. Now calcium needs to lose these 2 electrons so that it can maintain a completely filled outermost shell here. So when it loses these 2 electrons, this shell will disappear. Now you have chlorine atom here. Let's say 1 chlorine atom is here, and here is it. You know that chlorine has a total of 17 electrons. 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 for this shell, and then another one, 1 2 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is one chlorine atom. Now this is chlorine. Now calcium wants to react with chlorine, then it gives out one electron to chlorine. Can you see it? Let me paint it red. All right, so it gives out this electron and give it to chlorine. Now can you see it? Calcium has given out electron to chlorine, and this chlorine, as you can see here, is complete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This chlorine now cannot take in any more electrons into it. Why? Because it is complete already. It is completely filled. Now what do you think the calcium will now do? The calcium will now look for another chlorine atom to receive the second electron that is left here. This is why the chlorine atom is now 2. So there's another chlorine atom here. Let me draw another one here. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you have the outermost shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remaining 1. So this is second chlorine atom. Then this second chlorine atom will then will receive these other electrons. So this is the second electron remaining from the calcium atom, and the electron will come from chlorine and come from calcium and come to this chlorine atom. So you can see it. One calcium atom needs to give out 2 electrons to 2 chlorine atom, because a chlorine atom can only collect a maximum of 1 electron. So it needs to give it to 2 chlorine atoms. That is why the formula of calcium chloride is CaCl2. Do you understand? So please, if you have any question, put it in the comment section. This will be the end of this tutorial. We'll discuss the other types of bonding in subsequent video. If you have any question, put it in the comment section and I will attend to it. And thank you very much. Please subscribe to my channel. Click on that subscribe button. Please